In today's show, we're looking at Saturday, which is your last day to stream, most likely. For the week, we're looking at how we attack each category, a bit of an update on some news, and looking ahead into next week, if your league, for some reason, is still doing that. Michael Bolton. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Indeed. It's been a long season.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon today to get started. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So, we're looking ahead to Saturday's games. There are only 2 games on. So we're going to break down how we can really stream and what things we need to watch for. There's 2 games. There is Dallas and Miami, and there is the Clippers and the Pelicans. So 2 games on tomorrow. That is it. So we'll talk about those games, but just a quick update on some stuff for Friday if you're getting to this in time, but it's important to know moving forward as well. We saw yesterday that Rick Carlisle had said Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner might not play again this season. And they listed Halliburton out, and they listed Turner questionable. Well, Turner has been ruled out. I fear that they will keep doing this. I do not believe that Miles Turner will play this season, but when they list him questionable, it makes you go, but what if? But they listed him out. And the same thing is going to happen in Charlotte. They listed Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier doubtful. That means they're done. I don't know why they don't just leave them out, but that means they're not going to play. But then they said, we're going to put them doubtful. We're going to put Kelly Oubre questionable. And you're okay, is Oubre actually going to play? Well, the answer is no, he's not. So the element of doubt continues to be sown, and I fear, especially with Charlotte, they're just going to keep doing this every game. They've done it literally all season, where they just put guys questionable. Oh, no, they're out. Questionable, out. Questionable, out. And you keep holding, and you keep holding, and you keep holding. And it becomes really frustrating. The Jazz have been doing it a little bit with Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton. It does appear like they are completely done. There is a report that they're done. And they're going to keep doing it, I think, with Lauri Markkanen, who I also think he's done, but I don't know. The Blazers do it with Simons and Grant and Nurkic, but I've told you they are actually officially done. That is finished. But there is just going to be these frustrating situations. Then you get the opposite where Shea gets ruled out, and then, he's playing. Where's my sound drop? There it is.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
So we try to read into as much information here as we can, but we're going to get misled. It's going to happen. And we try and go, what are the motivations for this team? What are they trying to do? What information are they putting out there? All that sort of stuff. But you're never going to get it 100% right because they lie all the time. And then they either lie through direct lies or they lie through omission of information. And it makes it really hard for us to understand that. But I just wanted to update a couple of things like that, which is what I did, I hope. So now we look ahead to the games on Saturday. Warnie.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right, now there's a big question mark around this game because it is the Clippers on a back-to-back. And we have not seen Kawhi Leonard play a back-to-back all season. There is a chance that he plays a back-to-back at some point this season. Is it this one? I don't know because we don't even know whether Kawhi is playing on Friday. He missed Wednesday's game due to personal reasons. He is questionable for Friday for personal reasons. Could he play both of these games? Sure. Could he sit Friday and play Saturday? Absolutely. At the moment, the pattern for Kawhi has usually been sit the second half of a back-to-back. So I've got him out on Saturday. But if he is out, that impacts Batum. These are just guys available on the wire. Batum, Gordon, Mann, Powell, Plumlee, Covington, Highland. It's like 7 guys that get impacted. And 7 guys who all become streams. And if Kawhi plays, their value drops by 20%, 30%? It's really hard to know. So you'll see tons of Clippers guys as stream options under the assumption that Kawhi is not going to play. But I don't know. And we won't actually know until tomorrow. We won't actually know until, this game is what time is it? I keep forgetting because daylight savings times keep changing. I think it's an 8:30 Eastern tip for tomorrow's game. So, it's not the first game. You're going to get that first. Dallas and Miami game is on first. So it's going to be frustrating. In saying all of that, let's look at some names that we can stream in for a Yahoo Points League. Robert Covington, I think's got to be on the list there. Not only did he went off last game, obviously. He's going to get minutes, irrespective of Kawhi's status. His minutes go up when Kawhi is out, but he is going to get some minutes. The value of him, though, really, really is going to skyrocket if Kawhi is out. But there's still a level of uncertainty around him and the minutes that go to Batum and Man. Norman Powell, I feel like, is almost the safest one, irrespective of Kawhi, because he'll get his 25 or so coming off the bench. But this is a team that we talked so much about how deep they are. And even with Paul George out, we're still running into those problems of someone's going to sit. Is Bones going to play if Kawhi returns? I don't know. Is Covington going to get 20 minutes, 12 minutes, 30 minutes? Is Batum going to play? Was Man going to get 18 minutes or 35? I don't know. So all of those guys are in the mix. Covington, Powell, Man, Highland. Throw Eric Gordon in there as well. Someone like the cockroach Mason Plumlee is a secure pickup. He's not going to spike. He's not going to fall away. But he is a relatively secure pickup for tomorrow. But there is the riskiest play out of those Clippers guys is probably Bones Highland, amazingly, even though he's been great recently. Because Ty Lue said when they're healthy, they will play a 9-man rotation. And to me, Bones is the 10th man. He might not be. They might go back to 10. He might be 9 ahead of Covington. But he could be the 10th man who does not play. So we've got Covington, Powell, Man, Highland, Gordon, Plumlee. 6 options as Clippers streams. And the presence or absence of Kawhi. If Kawhi is absent, I think this is the order that you look at them in. But I haven't even got Batum on this list. He's not as much of a points league guy. But Covington, again, might play 15 minutes and Batum plays 35. That's possible too. The other guys from other teams, we look at the 2 power forwards in Miami, Kevin Love and Caleb Martin. Martin will get more minutes. Love can be an equivalent fantasy point producer, even in fewer minutes. And they're really the only other guys who stand out as great options. I will throw Tim Hardaway Jr. in there for Dallas as an option. Gabe Vincent can be an option if Kyle Lowry is out for Miami. But Hardaway is very, very inconsistent. Last games have been good from him. But that makes you feel there's a 10 fantasy point game coming. That's how he rolls. On the ESPN points side of things, it's a lot of the same names. Covington, Powell, Man, Gordon, Highland. I've got Josh Richardson in there, who is an interesting guy that the reason for streaming him in was the 4 quality games. His overall single game production's been pretty bad, although he could pop off at any time. I don't think he will, but he's in the mix there. And then Martin and Love. So a lot of those same names, really just looking for anybody who's a regular rotation player who can be options there, and then the value or absence of guys like Kawhi, or if there's any weird injuries that pop up on Dallas to open up stuff for like Tim Hardaway or Jaden Hardy. But it is very much throw a dart at a dartboard type of scenario to get the guys in that are going to hopefully get you victory. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NCAA tournament, we are almost there. It is Final Four time in the men's and the women's tournaments. We're going to get a winner, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. And then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads and which team will be cutting down the net. Any change in the odds over there? No, we still got UConn as 5.5 point favorites. What's this? Final Four team specials. Which team to score the most points? Connecticut, -145. Florida Atlantic, +900 to score the most points out of all Final Four teams. You can all that sort of stuff, exotic bets, straight up money line spreads, all that sort of stuff is available on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let's go to category leagues. And again, a lot of the same names. We're just going to go through each category and highlight some names that we're going to look at here. In terms of points, it is the Clippers guys who are going to provide the most value because this is under the assumption that Kawhi Leonard does not play. We've got Norman Powell, who I really do think is probably the safest of the Clippers guys. Maybe Eric Gordon, but he's pretty prone to weird games. So Powell, Gordon, Highland, Man, Man is not even close to being an option here if Kawhi plays. The other three guys are, or maybe not Bones, because again, I don't know that he even plays. And then you go Max Strus. And I know it's a risky proposition for me to say, hey guys, what do you think about streaming Max Strus, considering he played 3 minutes last game? I do not think, it is possible, I do not think that his 3 minutes last game is a sign that he's out of the rotation. Duncan Robinson did play 28 minutes last game. They lost by 9 to the Knicks because Strus got 3 fouls in 3 minutes. And if we're just going to ignore 72 games of precedent of Strus being ahead of Robinson and ahead of a lot of other players in the rotation, then that's fine. And Spoelstra could do that. NBA coaches can be quite short-term in terms of, well, this just happened 2 minutes ago, so therefore I'll continue to do it. They can do that quite often. They don't always, though. They don't always do it. Spoelstra had no problem starting Omer Yurtseven when Bam Adebayo was out and he said, all right, thanks for your service, mate. See you later. You're out of the rotation. That's what he did. So that could have been a one-thing game from Dunk, and Strus goes back and plays 25. Strus's minutes are frustrating. 33, 31, 24. Actually, we start here. On the 13th of March against Utah, 7 minutes. Then 33, 31, 24, 32, 34, 27, 3. So it's a risky thing, but he is in the mix. Tim Hardaway can get you 25, could get you 7. Jaden Hardy, pretty similar. I think he probably gets double digits, and he could obviously pop off, but with Kyrie and Luka both playing, the upside of both Tim and Jaden is low, and then Caleb Martin can be a double-digit scorer as well. But there's not huge amounts there. There are some pop-off guys in Powell, Highland, Hardaway, and Hardy who can actually pop off for big scoring nights, but it's not huge. Threes, a lot of that stuff carries over from the points category. Powell, Strus, Hardaway, Highland. Batum, he's not going to be a big point-scoring guy, but he's going to shoot 80% of his shots from deep. So he's in the mix. Reggie Bullock, same. He'll shoot 100% of his shots from 3. 15 points with 5 triples from Reggie Bullock is not out of the question. But even if he only scores 9, you know where those 9 are coming from. And then there's Eric Gordon and Kevin Love. So there are, as always, a lot of good 3-point streaming options. I think we really need to be deprioritizing focusing on big threes in drafts next season. Again, it's part of my reasoning why I don't know why 3-pointers made is a standard fantasy. Well, I know why it is. I don't know why it remains a standard fantasy category when the league's shooting 45% of their shots from 3. It's just scoring. 3-pointers are just scoring. There's no need for this as a separate category. But anyway, that's a separate discussion. Let's look at some rebound streamers. Feel confident about most of these guys. Covington's the iffy one about how his minutes go, but Kevin Love, even if he plays 20 minutes, there's 6 or so there. The cockroach Mason Plumlee can get you 6 in his 19 minutes. There's Covington who could get 8, he could get 3, could get 0. And then you go to Caleb Martin, Nico Batum, Maxi Kleber. He's going to have a role. He's going to play 25 to 30 minutes. You feel good about his role there. Najee Marshall, I know what his role is. It's 22 minutes. But the rebound numbers from these, after Kleber, it's a drop-off to Marshall and Mann. It's Terrence Mann. This might be 3 rebounds each for those guys. It's pretty low. They're going to be rotation guys. That's important. But they're not going to be bringing in the big ones. So we're really looking at probably Mason Plumlee, Kevin Love, and then Covington. And then Kleber's got a little bit of upside in the rebound department. For assists, you're going to be shocked to know that it's dry as shit in here. Bones is probably the best option there, but he honestly could play 0 minutes. But he could have 6, especially if Kawhi is out. Terrence Mann also gets that boost if Kawhi is out. Then you're looking at guys with 3 assist upside. But Mann and Highland get the boost if Kawhi is out. You're looking at Josh Richardson, Eric Gordon, Najee Marshall. Gabe Vincent's probably got higher upside, especially if Kyle Lowry sits. He might get you 6, but he also might play 20 minutes and get you 3. Max Strus, that's a 2 assist guy, and Covington's a 1 to 2 assist player. That is how dire this situation gets. So if I'm taking a flyer, Bones is there. I like Vincent's upside for assists, and everyone else is just sort of mid. Probably less than mid, to be fair. Steals, we can always get tons of them. We know this. Another thing to deprioritize in draft rankings. Rob Covington's is honestly a 7 steal upside player. Richardson's a 4 steal upside player. Batum's a 3 or 4. Vincent's a 3. Caleb's a 3. Caleb Martin. Bones Highland's probably a 1 to 2. Najee Marshall's probably a 1 to 2. And Reggie Bullock's probably a 4 steal upside player. But all of those guys, you feel good about them being able to influence that category. Obviously, if you're taking a home run hit, Covington's the guy. He is the best steals guy, one of the best steals guys in the entire NBA. And if he does play 30 minutes because Kawhi is out or because they go that direction, he could have a huge game. Absolutely massive game. And you'll notice when we go to the next screen, his name's at the top of the blocks as well because he could drop 4 or 5 of those as well. Maxi Kleber could also be a good blocks guy. He's not always going to be, but he can bring you 4 or 5. And then it gets tough. Nico Batum, he can be a 3-block guy. He can. And you wouldn't want to trust both him and Covington to do it simultaneously. But he can be that guy. Caleb Martin, yeah, that's where we get pretty iffy. The cockroach Mason Plumlee's not really a very good shot blocker, and he's limited minutes. Josh Richardson used to be a very good shot blocker in the mold of what Derek White currently does, but he's dropped off in that regard. And then you go to Eric Gordon and Norman Powell, who might luck into a block. Although, to be fair, Eric Gordon is a pretty good shot blocker as a guard. If you go and look at his numbers, I'm talking out of my ass here, so I'm going to have a look, because maybe I'm completely wrong, but from memory, I'm just going to have a look at Eric Gordon. You'll be shocked to know this, by the way, as I'm reading this information. We'll get to Eric Gordon in a second. After yesterday, the Celtics were like, maybe we'll see how Al Horford and Rob Williams feel. They might play the back-to-back. Yeah, they're both ruled out. Again, teams dick us continually. Eric Gordon, he's averaging half a block a game. That's not that good. Thought it was better. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's go on to some field goal percentage, guys, and it is very, very low. Mason Plumlee, Dwight Powell, but he might play 10 minutes and take 2 shots. He might hit them both, but that's really not a big influence. Josh Green, maybe. Cody Zeller, that's one to watch, because Bam Adebayo is questionable. And I think Zeller will start, and he might go 4 of 6, 6 of 7. He might do that. Larry Nance, last 2 games over 20 minutes, very interesting to watch. And then Terrence Mann's a pretty much like Josh Green. He's a decent field goal, a positive field goal contributor from a wing position, which is really hard to get. Free throw percentage, there's lots of great options here. You got Norman Powell, Maxi Strus, Kevin Love, Gabe Vincent, the 5-minute man, Bones Highland, Josh Richardson, Jaden Hardy, Eric Gordon. All of these guys are great free throw percentage players. You just got to try and find the one you think will get most attempts, and that really is Norman Powell's game. So he's the guy to me that stands out in that area. In terms of injury replacements, the big one we have to watch here is Bam Adebayo. If he is out, we go to Cody Zeller, I think. Maybe it's Yurtseven, but Yurtseven is literally not even playing. So Zeller has been the backup, getting 12, 13 minutes a night. I think they'll give him 26 or so. Maybe you get some out of Yurtseven, but I think Yurtseven and Highsmith would split the backup minutes there. But Zeller would be the guy that I'd be most interested in grabbing if Bam is out. Kyle Lowry is questionable, so that would boost Vincent if Kyle is out. And then you get Oladipo getting some minutes, and maybe Duncan Robinson slides in there too. It probably does give a boost to Max Strus also, but we saw what Strus did last game. And then the big one is going to be Kawhi. I don't know if he's going to play at the moment. I'm expecting him not to play in this game on Saturday, but he might sit Friday, play Saturday. He might sit both Friday, Saturday. He might play both Friday and Saturday. It's honestly something we won't know until tip-off tomorrow. If he is out, then Powell gets the boost, Covington gets the boost, Mann gets the boost, Batum gets the boost, Gordon gets the boost. Everyone gets a boost. Westbrook, but obviously he's rostered in leagues. It's a weird day. Let's look at the next. Normally we do 4 days, but we're going to do 5 days because Monday is a 0-game day. So who has low volume games? Well, between Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there are 2 days that are streaming days. Saturday and Wednesday. Because you've got 13 games on Sunday, 0 Monday, 13 games on Tuesday. So you're really streaming for Saturday and Wednesday. And thankfully, there are a couple of teams who play 2 games across that time. And it is the Clippers and it is the Mavericks. So they play Saturday, they play Wednesday. So if you are streaming a Clippers or Mavericks guy in and you do play into next week, you can probably hold them because you get to use them again next Wednesday. Covington, Powell, Mann, actually the Pelicans do as well. Covington, Powell, Mann, Richardson, Plumlee, Gordon, Batum, Bullock. All of those teams play that schedule where they play Saturday and they play on Wednesday. So that's in the next 5 days. They're your only 2 low volume games. Meaning, again, it can save you a little bit heading into next week when we take a look at that. If we just look at the next 5 days in total, which is actually the next 4 days of actual NBA games, who are some guys that are available who have a nice little boost that we can look at? Xavier T. Illman, 3 games. Marvin Bagley III, 3 games. But I don't know. He played 20 minutes last game and Omaroi played over him. That makes it tough. Delon Wright, Denny Avdia. I feel really good about Denny Avdia. Massively good about him. D-line's going to really depend on Brad Beal. But I don't think Beal will play. Killian Hayes has 3. Monte Morris has 3. Jalen Duren has 3. And Jared Vanderbilt has 3. Of course, if Jared Vanderbilt has 3, that means that Austin Reeves, if he's available, he has 3. But, I don't think he is available. These guys are all available in 40% plus of leagues. And I think majority of those guys, Bagley, the big question mark to me, the majority of those guys will probably be like top 70 guys by volume. Whether you would start them on the high volume Sunday or Tuesday, you've got to look at your own roster to decide that. But I think with the way that Avdiya's been playing, the way that Tillman's been playing, you probably would. You probably would start them on those days. If we have a look at the upcoming days, there is nobody that fits our criteria. No one plays 3 games in the next 4 nights. No one plays 4 games in the next 5 nights. No one plays 4 games in the next 6 nights. No one plays 5 games in the next 7 nights. And no one plays 5 games in the next 8 nights. That is largely because there is the weird day on Monday. Oh, yes, I knock over my little guys here. There's the weird day on Monday where nobody plays, but there is no fantastic schedule for a lot of it. There's lots of teams who play 4 games in 8 nights, tons of them. Tons of teams that play 3 games in 5 nights, heaps of them, right? But it's all going to come down to maximizing games played and maximizing games played on your roster by looking at how the schedule works for you and which days you can actually get blokes into play. And guys, that'll do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And if you are here on YouTube, thumb it up and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.